to People and Stories. This podcast explores stories behind success. How people grow, what do they do differently, how do they make the career choices. Each episode features honest conversation with guests about their journeys and how do they feel about their success. I'm your host Neha Jagnani and I'm here to uncover stories and insights. Our guest today is not just a coach but a visionary. She's redefining how professionals navigate their career journeys with confidence and clarity. Welcoming Mehar Sindhu Batra. Mehar is a chartered accountant from India and holds an MBA from Imperial College London. With experience across 3 countries in consulting, brand management, and strategy, she launched MSB Vision in 2019 to share lessons from her career journey. What began as a side hustle has now grown into a thriving platform with a community of over 7 lakh professionals. Through one on one coaching and workshops, Mehar has mentored over 15,000 individuals, empowering them to build confidence, gain clarity, and achieve their career goals. Mehar, thank you so much for joining us today. How do you feel about this?
Thank you so much, Neha, for having me. And it's such an honor to be speaking to you and be a part of your podcast. So thank you so much for this initiative and for inviting me as a guest.
Absolutely, Mehar. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to have you here today. So I'll begin with a Q&A session. Mehar, you have mentored over 15,000 students, which is a humongous number. So I'm curious to know if there is any, sort of a surprising career questions that you have ever been asked.
I think every student, every professional's journey is very unique. And so there's no hard and fast answers to anything that comes up my way. But in the sense, I think surprising, honestly, Neha, when I've spoken to people from, I would say, maybe 20, 30 countries. And you'll be surprised as to how similar our problems and our questions and our doubts are. We're all the same across different nations, different nationalities, different cultures. I think the most surprising thing has just been how uniquely similar we are. Like all these professionals want to make a lot of money. They all want to make their families proud. They all want to make the right career decisions and plan like 20 years ahead right now in the early 20s. So I feel for me, it's been surprising that how similar we are no matter where we come from. Um, but in terms of like, if I think of a few cases which have been surprising for me, I think have just been the kind of motivation students have to really excel in whatever they want to do. And that's why they sign up for sessions with me, right? That nobody's telling them to sign up. They're themselves signing up for these sessions. They're themselves engaging in with my content. I think sometimes what is surprising is when people come to me and say that, I'm having suicidal thoughts, or I'm having a lot of anxiety, or I don't want to make the wrong career choice. My life is passing by, etc. And that time I tell them to go into therapy or seek professional guidance, because I'm not a therapist. I'm a career coach. I can help you plan your future. I can't deal with your past traumas, etc. So that sometimes really, really hurts me when someone comes with that kind of a baggage. And I try my best to, let them look at things black and white, but there's sometimes the grays which I can't deal with. And yeah, that's I would say is the most surprising thing that comes my way.
Absolutely, Mehar. Given the diversity and people from different backgrounds that you have coached, it's very intriguing to know that the problem statements mostly were similar, even though the backgrounds were different. Thank you so much for that. So, Mehar, can you share a story, maybe one of your mentees whose story sort of surprised you about their journey or growth?
Wow, that's such an interesting question. So when I just started creating content, the reason why I started was because I didn't have any mentoring other than my parents when I was growing up. And it's so amazing the power of social media. You can make one video and it can reach the remotest parts of the world. Like someone sitting in LA can watch my video, whereas someone in a remote town in India can also watch my video. And I was having a session. I mean, I've had so many unique sessions, but one is coming to my mind is I was talking to this person, this young boy in a village in India.
Mhm.
And he had watched my videos and he said, I was able to land a job because of your content, because of your work. And I just wanted to thank you. I was able to support my family, and his salary was what, maybe 20,000 a month. And it's not really too much when you think about inflation, and there's so much if you're managing a whole family. But the way that he was so grateful, and he just wanted to get on a call to thank me, um I think that's just the most I've ever been moved. So I feel that if I can influence and help somebody uh you know achieve something in their life, I feel like I've done something meaningful in my life. So yeah, I think that's one story that really I holds a special place in my heart.
Fantastic, Mayor. I think that's not just a humbling gesture by the individual, but kudos to you for impacting, given the reach and through the social mediums, impacting so many people, even if they are at the remotest of locations. So kudos to you, Meher. Um,
Thank you.
my next question, Meher, is could you throw some light on that probably one defining moment which sort of made you step off of a traditional CA path and explore something new?
Oh, oh gosh. I feel that, Neha, it wasn't one fine moment. It was when I started working, I was just 19, 20 years old. I was working at one of the big companies, and I was going to the big fancy multinational office, and I was very excited the first 1.5 years. I was giving it my all. I was like, oh my God, this was my dream. I got this job on my own. Nobody helped me. I was working with these big clients, part of these big teams, learning all these cool things. And I think slowly and steadily, like there was a part of me that was sort of wanting more, because I was more of a, I like listening to people. I like listening to their stories. I like talking to people. I have a creative in me. I like to design things. So there was a creative in me that was slowly, suffering, and I was like choking on the inside. So I was doing like an analytical, brain heavy job, but my heart wanted something else.
Right.
So over the years, I couldn't quit my job because I was doing CA.
Mhm.
So I just decided that, once I qualify, I will get into general management strategy and become an entrepreneur, because my dream was always to be doing something of my own.
Okay.
Um, so I feel there wasn't one defining moment. It was just a series of days that made me realize, okay, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm probably meant to do something else. And I think all of us, if there's an inner voice that's coming in your mind that you're meant to be doing something else, it's coming for a reason. And I think you can't keep ignoring it beyond a point. Um, so yeah, I stumbled into strategy and did an MBA, and then eventually started coaching students on the side as a side hustle.
Sure. Wonderful, Mayor. It's really important to listen to that inner voice, as you mentioned, and embrace the change that is there, going forward. So thank you. So my next question, Meher, is looking back today in your journey, is there any funny or cringe-worthy mistake that you might have done in your earlier days, be it in your CV or a job application
I
that you
have made so many mistakes. Sorry to cut you off there, but I'm just like thinking about all the stuff that I've done that have been um mistakes per se. Like I don't look at the past with regret
would.
ever, but of course, yes, there are things that I was naive and I was confused and I didn't have guidance. The first CV that I ever made was literally taken off the internet,
Mhm.
and I didn't even know how to make a CV. These things you're not really taught in school and college. So I downloaded a template and I made like a basic CV, and I didn't really have many things to put on there. I remember I was like 19, and I wanted to apply for articleship at these big companies, EY, KPMG, PwC, and all of that. And my mom said, "Why don't you take printouts? Like take 10 printouts and go to these offices." So that's what I did. I took 10 printouts, and me, 19-year-old self, going to these big fancy offices, handing over my CV. I wouldn't say that was a mistake. I think it was very courageous and very brave of me. And that actually ended up me getting two interviews at two of those firms. And I ended up working at one of those firms. So yeah, something or the other always uh, turns out to be positive. I think one of the mistakes that I've made, Neha, is I was not very confident in my early 20s. And I held myself back a lot from participating in meetings, from speaking up, from sharing my ideas, from presenting all the work that I had already done. So I feel that was something that I wish somebody had told me, like, who cares? Like, speak up, you know. And that's a muscle that I developed much later in my career, and thank God I did, because now I enjoy participating and sharing my ideas quite a bit.
So wonderful. So Meher, this brings me to the last question in the Q&A session, which is who and what keeps you grounded when life gets overwhelming?
I think my family keeps me grounded. I don't think there's anything that's more important to me than my family. So yeah, that is my number one thing. I think if you're close to your close ones, then you realize what, you have sort of a compass in your life. And the second thing I think is my community as well, because I feel the people that follow my page are very similar to who I am as a person. So whenever I'm having a chat, on messages and all, it just seems like I'm talking to a younger sibling. So yeah, they're like, I would say, like my extended family. So yeah, my family is number one, and then my community is a very close second.
Fantastic, Meher. So now we are going to switch gears for a moment and get into this quick rapid fire round. This is
Wow.
basically a bit to get to know you a little better and rather in a rapid way. So are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I'm
Okay.
bracing myself.
Wonderful. So here we go. Your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur in London?
I think it's the diversity and inclusivity of people around me.
Sure.
Yeah.
The one quality every entrepreneur must have.
Strength and resilience to keep going no matter how many times you fail.
Okay,
Yeah. So resilience, I guess.
sure. So you're at a startup pitch meeting, Meher. What's your opening line?
Oh wow. Oh my God, I have to think about that. Um, my opening line is, let's talk about a problem that is faced by millions across the world.
Perfect. A
Yeah.
skill that you're learning right now that excites you.
I am learning to be a better speaker and storyteller. So I
Sure,
think that's important as someone who conducts workshops
sure.
and stuff.
So if you had to sum up your career philosophy in a single word, what would it be?
Philosophy, I feel one word. Oh my God. I would say then absorb, because you have to be a sponge and absorb as much as information and learnings around you from people you meet. So
Beautiful.
yeah, absorb.
Yeah. So if you weren't mentoring and creating content, what else would you be doing?
I think something in fashion, because I just love dressing up and putting an outfit together. So yes, maybe styling or something.
Sure. A book that's always on your recommendation list.
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Okay. The most rewarding moment in your career so far.
Passing and qualifying as a chartered accountant.
If you had to give a TED talk tomorrow, what would the title be?
I've already given a TEDx talk, and the topic was how to create a career you love.
Okay. So the last question, your favorite social media platform and why?
YouTube, because I love long form content, and that's where I started creating content for MSB Vision. So yeah, it's my favorite.
Wonderful. So this brings us to the end, Meher. The rapid fire was quick and sharp. Thank you so much for your responses and basically for taking our time and sharing your thoughts and perspectives. It was my pleasure to host you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Neha. It was lovely meeting you and chatting with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'll just have a quick note to our listeners, Meher. Thank you so much for joining into this podcast today. If you enjoyed today's conversation, we would love to hear your thoughts. Until we meet next time, stay connected and keep building connections that matter. Thank you so much. Thank you, Meher.